started. We have a lot of great information shared today. This is part of the series of webinars that we've been doing with different aspects of channel engagement, channel recruitment, channel, how do I get a hold of them? Why aren't they paying attention to me type of webinars. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you Jennifer Dunman from SpyCloud. Laura, can you proceed on with the slides? Next slide, next slide. Laura. I've lost Laura. Oh my gosh. Jennifer, come on anyway. So we lost Laura. Well, she can catch up with the slides as she can from that particular piece. I can't change them, but Jennifer, how about it?
I think Laura had to drop out and reset. She was hoping that she'd be able to come back in and be able to hear you. So I'm Jennifer Dunman. I am the channel chief at SpyCloud. I have been doing technology channels for the last 15 years. My drink of choice when I'm at an event is probably an old fashioned, which I do have meetings all afternoon after this. So I have water with orange flavoring that's kind of the same color.
Great, excellent,
So
excellent.
Excited to be here today, so thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you here today. It's a lot of fun, and our solution provider of the afternoon is Neil Medwed. Neil, would you like to jump in and introduce yourself? Here he is.
Howdy, everybody. My name's Neil Medwed, President and CEO of Preferred Technology Solutions. I'm a 37-year technology professional. I've owned and operated Preferred for over 26 years now. I'm very excited to be here and look forward to this hour talk.
Great, fantastic. Well, I'm really happy to have everyone here and happy to have all our audience on. So kind of setting the theme just a little bit, of the ambiance, if you will. We're at perhaps another trade show, or we happen to be on a meeting like we're having right now, or in the hallway, however you want to view that ambiance. But kind of Jennifer has met Neil in the past. No activity really happened after their initial conversations, though it was fantastic. And Jennifer's channel team was like, yeah, Neil's coming on. He's going to do all this great stuff. And he's so excited. And crickets. Back to the trade show. And Jennifer would like to start out by knowing why. So Jennifer, you want to just re-engage with Neil and we'll have a great conversation. Everyone make sure you're putting your questions in, so we'll get to them towards the bottom half of the hour here. Jennifer, Neil, It's all your fault.
Sure. Neil, Jennifer Dunman with SpyCloud. We met last year at reInvent. We tried to do some follow-up and didn't get any traction. Do you have a few minutes that we can catch up?
Sure. Jennifer, I kind of remember us talking and stuff, and yeah, let's catch up. I have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes I can share with you. So, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. How's the year been for you? It's been a strange one, right?
It's been very strange. We, just like everybody, it's been a very busy year for most of us. And then first quarter started off really, really good. And all of a sudden, this COVID-19 crisis came, and we've been very, very busy. But it's scary, out there right now. And we as leaders, we're used to having our feet very firmly planted on the ground, knowing what next week, next month, next year should be. And this kind of threw everything up. It's concerning, for everybody out there. So what's happening with y'all?
So very much the same, as opposed to, feet being, my feet are usually normally planted on an airplane. So that's been my big difference, is being on the ground so much, but not really being able to engage too much face to face. So it's been a challenge, but overall Q1 business, much like yours, ours was fantastic. Q2, we're not seeing too much of a shift yet, which is great also. But I am really using this time to, re-engage with partners that we've missed out on, since maybe last engagements, last conferences, as well as, some further enablement with those that are signed on and keeping those relationships going. So it's great that we've run into each other and had this opportunity. We've launched a couple new products since we last spoke, and I think it might just be, the right time for us to have a conversation.
Yeah, it could be. One of the things that happens to me when I go to a technology show and we meet new vendors and stuff, is we as a solution provider, MSP, VAR, we have a set number of solutions that we sell. So the first thing that I always ask is this going to be a bolt-on to an existing, can we bolt it on to our product portfolio? Or is it something that's going to replace something that we're doing existing? And we go to technology conferences again, and there could be great excitement. But one thing I find is that many manufacturers, providers, they truly don't understand the inner workings of a VAR MSP. What happens within our walls, you're obviously, I'm sure you have a great solution. I don't remember exactly what the solution was, but I'm sure it's a fantastic solution. I know that you're 100% behind it and you think it's the best thing, since sliced bread. But, for us, what happens is we have to be very protective over the vendor partnerships that we have. We have to be very, very protective of what we're going to put our staff through, because the last thing that me as president CEO can do in a quality organization is dictate. There's a big there's many people who are affected by any decision that is made. Thus, we have to bring in the people who are going to be affected, by it. And that's just not us, that's also our client base, too.
Certainly.
So, I would love to re-engage with you. The time may be right now, or it may not be. But what we need to do is fully understand the situation, but even more importantly, make sure that you understand us, that you have invested the time in us to ask the pertinent questions in regards who are the people who make the decisions. What is this, bolt on, or is this going to be a replace? What is the pain involved to do so? So, I would love to talk to you about that and to see if there's a way that it may make sense.
So yeah, so let's kind of break. So we got a good conversation going and it started. So this could go in a lot of different directions, but where it really ought to go is, you kind of explained, Neil, that just because you're excited about a product and you're the CEO of the company, you're the actual owner of the company, it's like any other CEO of a big organization. You can't always move your staff in a direction. And to force sometimes you can force it and sometimes you have to, but in most cases you don't want to, because it can upset the flow, or maybe they are right, what have you. So what are those things, Jennifer, do you think that you would propose in moving forward to Neil and saying, here's how we can help you convince your staff, or this is how we would do that? Maybe talk a bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the evaluation that I go through when, chatting up a new partner, typically at an event, but even, now doing some outbounding since I'm grounded, since we're all grounded, is really getting an understanding of their clients and their business as well, and how they go to market, how the decisions are made, really getting an overall lay of the land. In my current role with SpyCloud, because we're in the ATO space, which is a fairly new space, we are mostly a bolt-on in most cases. There's very few MSPs out there that have been working with somebody else. But I've been in previous positions, I've been in the position where it's been a replace. And obviously, both scenarios, you have to, as a bolt-on, make sure, is this going to integrate with all of the other pieces that I already have? Is it going to be disruptive, to a client when we go to implement? There's technical vetting that needs to happen. There's product vetting. There's operational vetting, on the how do we bill for it? How do we manage it? Do we have to worry about license counts? All of those things. So it really does start as more of a business conversation and really getting an overall view of the entire business. How many salespeople do you have? Because I have to think about it too from an enablement standpoint. Do I have to enable 3 people, 30 people, or 300? And how am I going to scale that with the size team I have at this moment, or that I'm going to have in the next 3 months? So when I'm starting one of these conversations, I'm doing an overall evaluation of this potential partner's business as well, to ensure that we are going to be a good fit for one another.
Great. And Neil, so I think that's a pretty good answer that she has and how she wants to work with you. And what are those steps in getting that done? You'd mentioned before we were talking earlier about a playbook and some type of playbook of how you can move your organization forward. Maybe talk a bit more about how should she push here in this direction and help you get that buy-in.
Well, what everyone has to understand is that the vendor VAR MSP relationship at first is very, very much like dating. There has to be a reason to want to even have, the conversation with that potential, vendor. So there is going to be that flirtation, if you will. Maybe this is a bad in the Me Too world, but that's the best way I can, really equate it, because the goal is one day to, be married to that vendor. When I say married, what I'm referring to is a very strategic relationship that has very effective communication going back and forth, that is profitable for both sides, that we all lay expectations on one another, and we fulfill whatever those expectations are. So again, back to the dating side, let's say you have a phenomenal solution. What I want you to follow me through and understand is when Neil Medwed comes back from a TrustX Alliance meeting, let's say, and I met some fantastic, what I think would be a fantastic vendor, usually at a tech conference, or again, in the hallway or the bar afterwards, which, a lot of things happen there. But, I get back to the office, and while the dating started, the flirtation started, I need to come back and explain to my staff why they should even, I'll use this word, waste their time in exploring something new when they are very busy day to day. Everybody's running a very lean and mean shop. And there has to be some very, very good reasons why they should make any move towards learn about a product. I can say many times that vendors have with the best intentions given us, product to evaluate, things like that, but because of how busy we are, we haven't been able to give it its rightful testing, and it gets turned back. One thing that I feel strongly about is that each vendor, one of the first things that they should do when they're trying to determine who their targets should be for their solution is really understanding demographics of the company that you're dealing with. It's a difference, we're a 14-person firm, and other companies, let's say, are 50 or 100 or even more in that sense. The dynamics in a 14-person firm is going to be different than the dynamics in a 50-person firm, the dynamics in a 300 person firm. So understand our markets, understand who we sell to mainly. If you're an enterprise play and you come to an SMB, the date's probably not going to go that well. And also understand the force multiplier. You may have a salesperson, from the vendor side, assigned. You may have a sales engineer assigned, and maybe someone in management assigned on that relationship. But the force multiplier effect is we have multiple salespeople, multiple engineers, and sales and engineering is the majority of most of our staff. Mm-hmm. So for us to train everybody in a solution, it's very, very costly for us, time-wise, money-wise, and everything else. So a key is to truly take the time to understand who we are, get the business intelligence that's out there. Get the business intelligence to make sure that they're going to be a perfect fit for everybody.
Right, exactly. And on that piece, so whenever Jennifer's staff calls up or someone else's staff calling up or she's calling you herself and she gets you on the phone, as the CEO, owner, president, or one of the executives that's a nice size MSP, really nice size MSP with 50 employees and everything that you're doing to maintain that and grow that particular piece. It's one thing of how she wants to engage with her staff, but what is that 5-minute piece that she can get when she gets you on the phone to say, hey, look, this is what we do. This is how we're helping you with your business. These are the verticals how we can help you with the verticals. What is it that you tune into real quick that's going to appeal to you as an owner that would say, okay, I need to explore this. I don't know if it's a perfect product or from a perspective of our processes, what we're doing with the client yet, but and that you'll have your own playbook for that. But what are those things that you, Neil, want to hear? Not that you want to hear it, but you need to hear to excite you enough to want to take that conversation forward.
Sure. I first to start off that we get solicited by vendors multiple times a day, via email, via LinkedIn, via phone calls, all these different things. And the vast majority of time, they're ignored. For me, the most popular way for me to find information as to who I should be partnering with, and I'll come back to the exact piece of your answer, but for me has been technology community. I'm very involved with Ingram Micro's TrustX Alliance. I've been the 5-state president before. I've been on the board of directors of that organization. I've been the channel liaison for different manufacturers. And for me, where I find most of my quality information is from another partner who has used the solution, who is happy with the solution because it's already vetted, in that sense. But there are certain checklists, whenever I look at a new solution. The number one for me is, can it be profitable? Some vendors feel that you making 10, 15% margin, should be sufficient. Sometimes it is, many times it's not. I ask about the deal registration program. For example, if we bring that, that vendor, that manufacturer to the dance, are they going to protect us? Do they have official programs that are going to give me the margin I need? Where, just for example, there's a solution that a client wants. We invest all our engineering time, and for whatever reason, purchasing needs multiple bids. So they go to the CDWs and the Insights of the world who will do things at very low margins at times. And if there's no protections for us on the deals, that's usually going to be an X. So the partner program, deal registration program, is very meaningful. Let's just say it passes the mustard on that. It can be a profitable scenario, and the deal registration program is solid, so we feel that we can be protected. Then internally, I'm going to take it to my management team and say it's already vetted A and B, and then turn it over really on the technical side.
Yeah, so let's just right there, Neil, just for a second. So Jennifer, you were having a conversation with Neil. You've hit those points, and you can tell that he's excited, knowing he's going to go to his other team or whatnot. So Neil said, yeah, yeah, I like the deal registration program. It looks like we can make some money at it. Where do you want to take it then? Where would you typically take the call?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of that is where I would get into getting an understanding of the customers that they're calling in on, how big the staff is. Neil, you made an interesting comment that kind of made my brain tick a little bit about the demographics of, are you targeting even the right types of partners? My original degree is in advertising. So I spent the first 11 years looking at demographics and target audiences and all of that. So maybe that's why I have a different view of channel. And that to me is something that's very natural. But, I've also worked with folks and been in other organizations where it was just, carpet bomb and try to get every partner you can. And if we have a big collection of partners, somehow we'll get to the revenue number, as opposed to, my philosophy is very much around, let's have, a smaller set, but that are very effective, very well engaged, very enabled, and that, we are family with. So, for me, it's getting an understanding of, the types of clients they're working with, how big the team is, what sort of expectations they are looking for around margins, because I have been in this business long enough that right now I'm at a margin that I'm pretty comfortable with, but there's been times that I've, only had 15 points. And there was a lot of companies that, if you didn't have 25 or 30, they wouldn't even answer the phone. So I try to get through the areas where I know there's going to be objections. I try to, vet those out very early in the process as well. We all have 24 hours in the day, and we, want to use those as best we can. So I'm always, trying to find out and get through the objections first, so that then we can, have a really nice second and third date.
And you're one of the smart ones.
Well, thank you.
There's, and just so everybody knows, we haven't physically met each other before. We just met a few days ago, via Laura's email and stuff. But I wish, and the channel wishes, there were more like you who take the time to research and understand the demographics. Because those things are important. I look at at Preferred Technology Solutions, I look at our, let's say top 6 partners, and we're in communication with these top partners at the very least a weekly basis. Yeah. One thing that we like to do, because, again, this is past the dating stage, at this point we're pretty steady, market and stuff. But, we're going to build business plans together that are going to put expectations down on both sides. You as the vendor partner need to expect Preferred Technology Solutions to do certain things. We, on the other hand, need to be able to expect things from you. Yeah. And that's why having written business plans, go-to-market strategies, playbooks, if you will, I feel, are very, very strong. From the vendor standpoint, if you look at the things that we're talking about here, and when you want to go from A to B, you want to, on a map, you're going to, okay, my destination is over here, and this is where I am today. It's important to plot out the destination as well as a route, to get there. So thinking about things like, business plans and how we would work with you. If a vendor came to me with a plan, or when they do, with the plan for success, the plan to become successful, which meaning we're both doing things, that's a much, much more powerful message versus, hey, sell my stuff.
I got a great demo. Just pay my demo and you're going to sell my stuff, right?
So with a plan like, with a playbook like that, what's that allow me to do as a partner? That allows me to give it to my other management, and they're able to review things and comment on them, and they feel, it helps them feel more comfortable, because we as technology owners, it's fact, we'll go to a TrustX Alliance meeting or a ConnectWise meeting or a whichever meeting, and we get excited about certain things, and we come back and they think for the term squirrel, whereas often, we're going this way. Okay, squirrel, let's go this way. And they, as a team, at times have to put us in our place, that's the way it should be, by saying, no, we're doing this. This is the reason why we're doing this. It's too difficult to change, or, this is okay. I'll invest an hour of my time to see if I share the same excitement of yours. The vendor always thinks that this stuff is the best thing since sliced bread, and it may be, but getting it through the different levels here
just doesn't work. Exactly. So, Yeah, we'll come back to a couple of questions here. So kind of moving on a little bit. Unfortunately, it seems like we've lost our slide deck unless everyone else is seeing it. I'm just not. So, but at any rate, we're kind of towards the bottom half of the hour, and it's kind of my obligatory. Here it goes. Got it up. I can see it now. So a little bit of my obligatory piece that I always present about who we are and what we do. At SaaSMAX, we're all about helping channel-focused organizations like many of you that are on here to be able to identify the ideal resellers, find them, and recruit them much faster through the use of data-driven hyper-targeting that we work with, that our application does, and we do as a company working with you. So as you hear Jennifer and you hear Neil talking about know who I am when you call, and know about the client base that I have, and the types of business plans that I have, and the verticals, and everything that you need to know about before you make that phone call, which if you're smart, your salespeople are taking 20, 30 minutes to learn about a partner before they call them. They still don't know necessarily as much as they need to, but it's a lot of time and trying to find, sometimes that's not even enough. But here's what, as an organization, we're all about finding the right talent. So if you think of it as the NFL or a sports team where you have the combines and you're grading and you're rating your players that you want to bring onto your team, you should be doing the same thing whenever you're looking to bring in channel members. Instead of just going out and blasting 10,000 emails and then backing it up with another 45,000 phone calls that you're going to push, and with one message going out there, you'll have some success, but it doesn't mean that success that you do have in recruiting a partner is really going to turn into relationships that are really going to produce and move the needle. We're here. Which partner do you want here? Which partner do you want to draft? Which one do you want to recruit and talk to? Once you find these great partners that could be great partners of yours, these are your Glengarry leads. Go after them, and be smart about how you go after them, and realize that they're getting Neil was a little conservative on some of the things on what a lot of companies are getting. I'll guarantee if he looks at his spam, he's getting 150, 250 emails a day from vendors saying, sell my great product, let's do a demo. He's getting 4 or 5 calls a day at the size of company that he is right now as an MSP, and all the visibility he has in the marketplace. It's very, very difficult from our channel team side to get into that type of an organization. And when you do, you've got to have the talk track down. You've got to know how you're going to help them make money. You've got to have, and going into our next question here real quick, you've got to have that information to talk to them. So we also, every Thursday this month, we are doing, on the previous slide, you saw that we are doing a workshop on how to define and refine your ideal reseller partner personas. Please join. We're having we've had great conversations. We've had almost every class that we've done this month. We've done 3 of them have been full. We can only accept 20 to 25 people on at a time in our workshops. And we have some specials going on if you do attend those. So attend them and let us help you. Even if you don't work with us to find new partners, you should attend, because it'll help you and give you some intelligence and some smarter way of going about perhaps defining your ideal reseller relationship. So onto questions. One of the big things that everyone keeps asking about is we've talked about and heard Neil and Jennifer talking about a playbook a little bit. Let's take, we're running short on time here, so maybe within the next 60 seconds, can you define what that playbook is? And do you typically use one? Jennifer and Neil, you have your idea what a playbook is once you get a hold of them. So let's go with Neil first on that real quick, 60 seconds.
Okay. A playbook to me is going to outline a go-to-market strategy, which needs to include MDF of some kind. It's going to include sales targets. It's going to include, what type of training is expected for us to do, and what kind of training is available, from the vendor. It's going to have sales targets. We need to be able to define what success is. Is success $1 million worth of sales on a product, or is it $100,000 of sales, on a solution? It's going to outline meetings, and communications and the expectations on communications and meetings. It's going to outline, what we should do, on the partner side, when we find a quality lead, how is it going to be worked together between the manufacturer and preferred technology solutions? So it's going to outline all those things. At the end, it's going to be signed off by me as well as the manufacturer partner, and maybe even others within my organization. And then we're going to manage against that playbook. And if we're not doing something up to par, we need to be told. And if you're not doing something up to par, you need to be told.
Jennifer?
So I haven't formalized playbooks as much as I should. I do all of these things, but do I have it delivered in one simple package? Not as much. So actually, Neil, I was jotting down a couple of notes and thinking about how that's something. What I usually have when I'm coming in is I have a 12-month plan of, and in that it does talk about, what does the enablement schedule look like? What do we feel the sales targets are that are achievable, and that we both feel are the right amount to be success, that we both call success. MDF, right now, the program that I currently have is a little bit immature on that. So that's a piece I've been writing. But yeah, it's something that I'm definitely going to be formalizing a little bit more based on this discussion, and turn it into something that we both do agree to with the signature. I like that. Yeah,
I think too is the one piece I like to have in that playbook is, what is that initial ramp time on that? What does that look like? Neil, in your business being a managed service provider, it's not like you sign a partner agreement and you start selling. You're not referring business. You're not just a VAR that's reselling it. You're going to take a product, you're going to wrap it into your services for the most part and provide it to all of your clients if at all possible. And that ramp time is 6 to 9 months before you bring a lot of clients on with a new vendor. That first 3 months is going to be testing and installing the product, making sure that it works, making sure it does what it promises, making sure that it's providing the value that's there. Can you technically manage that particular product? How's it going to work with your systems? Then if that's all good, you might have a client, 1 or 2 clients at that time. Then months 3 to 6, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're starting to look at it again, just a little bit more about how do we start thinking about sales? How do we start thinking about putting a playbook together for that? 6 to 9, you might start. Then 6 to 9 months, you might start doing some sales, and then about 9 to 12 months is when you really start to pick up. Is that about?
Well, I'm gonna shorten that time frame, somewhat, in that if we're gonna pick up a product, it's going to be our expectation that traction happens, quite a bit quicker than that, because if it takes 9 months or a year, depending on the type of product it is, then it probably wasn't the best solution to pick up in the first place. We have vendors, picture this for a moment. Vendor comes in and says, oh, we got the greatest thing. We want you to sell our product, but we don't have any MDF funds to give to you. We don't have any. We want you to cover all the expenses, including the expenses of training. Yeah, they can do a webinar training or whatever, but they're not really helping us. That's the playbook. Why the playbook side is so important. The other thing is, unless we have the tribal knowledge of how the solution works, meaning that we're using it internally, and so we can feel confident implementing it to a client, that's probably going to hinder or stop the relationship, because we have to, by the time it hits the customer, we have to be at 100% certain that it's going to be the right solution for that particular customer, and that it works exactly how it's intended to work, and we can support it in ways, in case something does go wrong, that we have the confidence we can support it effectively. So back from the vendor side, you have to understand what it takes to make us feel comfortable to even promote your product and give us the resources needed to make it worthwhile.
Sure, yeah. Sure. Excellent. Jennifer, anything on that, just real quick?
I was just going to say, one of the other pieces that goes into that, that activation period is, different services, different products have different, decision-making periods. So, I've been in a business where our average sales cycle was 28 days. I've been in businesses where the average sales cycle is 6.5 months. That changes the channel deployment and enablement considerably. And, and where do you, even in that first 12 months, success could be very different between a 28-day cycle and a 6.5-month cycle. So.
Right, exactly. Laura, do we have any other questions that we want to cover right now, because we're coming up on time? Can't hear you. On mute. You on mute?
I'm unmuting.
Usually it's me.
It started getting really loud, so I had to mute. Jennifer, this is a question for you. How many touches do you think it takes before success or throwing in the towel?
You mean on recruitment? I'm going to assume that that's on a
recruitment and enablement, and then over the life of a client. I know you and I have had some conversations about different areas of the country when you're recruiting, that if you had given up sooner versus later, and you're glad you didn't, with this question that came in.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to with me are when I do make a call, when I do send an email, am I getting any response? Am I being ignored? Do I have an opportunity that I'm going to be in that person's city and I may be able to swing by and say hello or grab lunch with them or have coffee or something? And a lot of it, when you have the opportunity to meet with somebody in person, it's a body language thing too. They may be, verbally telling you, yeah, we need to do more evaluation. But if the nonverbal is, you're a waste of my time, I may be, more likely to cut bait there. I don't have like a definitive 5 touches and we're done. It varies. And, one of the things that I notice now, kind of, I guess, the blessing of there being so much transience in how much folks move around to different companies is just because it wasn't the right time to work with, partner A right now, in 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, they may end up hiring somebody that I've worked with very successfully before that was a great champion, and that completely changes the conversation, and it's a great time to reset and restart. So, I don't really have any tried and true rules on that. I just try to, read the communication and, and build a relationship.
Which builds into another question related for both of you. Because the touches are looking differently right now, and we don't know when the conversation will change, when, as Clint said, we can go back to how we met vendors as MSPs and how vendors met MSPs. Has that changed how you're touching the conversation with the vendors? And Neil, has that changed how you want to be reached out to? So Jennifer, why don't you start?
It's definitely changed it. It's interesting. I participated in a channel happy hour that was put together by another professional I've worked with in a couple different engagements a few weeks ago. And there was maybe only 12 of us on that. And I ended up with 2 pretty solid leads out of it. And I've had some good conversations and some video conferences as follow-up. So it's definitely changing. In the past, I probably never would have invested time in doing a virtual happy hour. So, kind of experimenting in some new thinking. And yeah, I'm definitely having to be creative in how are we, doing enablement. It used to be I could do a tried and true, lunch and learn and, bring in lunch for everybody, and everybody would show up and I would get at least, 45 minutes to an hour and 15 of their time. And, we could get some decent engagement. And now it's looking for new opportunities and new ways to do that. To retain that attention and get that engagement, because I think we all know that there's a lot of times you log into something and put it on mute and go do whatever else. And everyone also, with the kids being home from school and trying to do homeschooling, there's so many more distractions even than we had 2 months ago. So
Neil?
So I'm someone, again, I'm a 37-year technology professional, I've owned and operated Preferred Technology Solutions for over 26 years. I've been a member of the VTN/TrustX Alliance for about 20 years of that time. And I invest very heavily in going to different technology conferences, talking to my peers about what's working, what's not, what manufacturers we should partner with, and who's doing good, who's not and stuff. And again, this whole crisis has changed those things. What's been interesting in the last 40 days, let's say, is I've had certain manufacturers, both existing and new, send me a box of cookies or a pizza or whatever, in essence saying, hey, let me send us some pizza, jump on this, Zoom meeting or GoTo meeting, and I've taken up a few of those just, and to be blunt, they probably wouldn't have gotten, my time, but because they approached it in that way, said, oh, okay, it's a bunch of different popcorns, okay, take the time, to talk to them. Is it bribing? Yes, in some ways it is, but it can bring up that one-on-one conversation or one-on-many, conversations and stuff. So, I can't wait till I can go to my next TrustX conference, see all my friends. But, that's one way. The phone, emails, I'm not sure how effective that is. One thing I did want to bring up, if, I'm part owner of a company called VAR Staffing, which staffs for the, VARs, MSP in the world also. And so I can put the vendor hat on in many ways too. It's important to work with, back to the demographics and stuff, pinpoint a handful of partners in each city, each NFL city, less in smaller cities, of course, let's say, that fit the right demographic, and do what you can to, to share your message. And again, as we said before, if you have a playbook that you can, present of some kind in advance, that certainly helps, answers a lot of the questions people have. But become strategic, don't be a shotgun approach, it doesn't work. X is what, we as owners do on those things. But understand the demographics, determine however you can who your perfect partners would be to partner with you, and hit them hard, and nicely but hard. Today's day and age, maybe send them a care package. Say, hey, give me 15 minutes of your time, whatever. But target very, very concisely, and I bet you'll gain much better success versus just email or leaving a message on a phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're up on our time here, so I want to thank everybody for attending. Neil, Jennifer, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to get to know you even better than I have in the past. So this is great. It's always a good relationship builder. Laura, as always, my favorite channel gal out there. So we've been working together as channel partner, vendor, and colleagues, and everything for the last, I'm not even going to say it. Yeah, about 20 years. Yep. So it's been good, and really, channel is all about relationships, as you can see here. They last. They do last a lifetime if you treat each other right. It's all good. So thank you very much for being here. Don't forget about our workshops. I'd like to say one
thing in closing real quick here. Everybody, please be safe. Please do what you can to flatten the curve. Please support the essential workers and the people who serve us day and night. My heart goes to each and every one. That's why we're American flag every day, is those reasons. So be safe. Thank y'all.
Excellent. And just keep using video conferencing like this, because I'm safely 4 hops away from everyone. So it's like I'm hopping distances.
Have a great day. And out as promised, there is a survey that will pop up as soon as the webinar ends. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.